In 2004, Carleton installed the first utility-grade wind turbine ever owned by a higher education institution. Olaf promptly applied for a grant to do the same thing, and a year later had its own wind turbine.
Yeah, it was some interest that came in through a student group, and so facilities we had a very sustainable manager at the time who took that on as his own personal project.
Well, early on, probably in maybe even 2001 or 2, just in conversation with a colleague at Carleton, Richard Strong, who's left the college since then, we discussed the whole idea of renewables. He mentioned that Carleton was looking seriously at getting a turbine, negotiating land leases and so on. And actually invited St. Olaf to come onto that project as well.
We had hoped at the time that it could be put on the grid, much like the St. Olaf one was put on the grid, so that we could use the power directly. But part of the studies we also did was where could we get the most wind contribution, which is kind of a gamble because wind is can be one year, and next year it could be totally different. So, but to kind of like maximize that, and where land might be available. And unfortunately for us, it was too far away from our grid system, and so we did a direct line right into the power company's grid. And so what happens, we get paid for every kilowatt that we produce, and so we're selling it back to the utility company, who by law has to take it and pay us money.
And we looked into that pretty extensively for a while, but ultimately decided that we were more interested in developing an on-campus self-generating system, because financially it works out quite a lot better.
And well, my biggest rivalry, we have backup generation now, which if the campus goes out, we can light up the whole campus, which we did. Olaf had that before, we had that. So I thought it was always competitive that eventually we did get ours, you know, because I was always jealous Olaf had that. I think we just play off everybody's, at least from the facilities end, we play off of good ideas. Now how the students and faculty and them may play off each other as a game, you know, that they don't let us play. It's a reindeer game and we can't play.
I played down the rivalry. People were trying to get us to play up the rivalry, I think. And I really don't see any rivalry.
And I didn't know we had a rivalry. We were playing against each other, so that shows you how naive I am.
But I think it's particularly cool that even though each school has a slightly different approach and different culture and all that stuff, both really trying to operate with as little impact on our respective biospheres, which in this case are the same.
I think as much as you have rivalry, it always has to be friendly because we work together on a lot of things. Telecom is all one. Like you guys said, you know, there's some other things that we all do shared.
Yeah, and Pete and I go back 30 years. So.
Hi, Kirk.